Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. I recently shared a video showing the paper collection I planned on using for my 4th of July cards this year. If you missed that video, I will include a link in the description box. This is the Fireworks and Freedom collection by Bella Blvd. I'm always a fan of using patriotic colors, and I fell in love with this beautiful collection. There isn't a 6x6 paper pad, so I purchased the 12x12 collection kit along with individual sheets, ephemera, and washi tape. I have links provided in the description if you are interested in purchasing this collection. My overall goal was to make at least 45 cards to donate to a local retirement home. And I'll talk a little more about that while I'm making the cards. So for this video, I do make a total of 48 cards, but I'm only going to show about 1, sometimes 2 of each of the card designs, just to save on time. Overall, these cards are fairly simple, and I'm going to use sketches for almost all of them. If you are interested in any of the card sketches, including measurements, I do share all of that information on my coordinating blog post, and that link is also in the description box. The first sketch I'm using is Operation Ride Home number 192. And I'm just using some pearlescent white paper for the background, and then I'm combining 3 different pattern papers. And whenever I use multiple pattern papers on one card, I try to use one paper that's a little busier, and then the other 2 are more of a tone-on-tone muted design. That way they don't compete with one another. Another thing that does help with multiple pattern papers is to add layers. I love to use cardstock for my matted layers. And if you're curious, my matted layers are generally 1/8 of an inch more than what the measurements are listed on the sketch. And I guess I've already talked through most of this card. I used a stamp set from a retired Hero Art set. I used some of Love from Lizi's peel-offs to add that little extra shine, and then of course my little banner I like to put in the top corners of my card. And I did make a total of 6 using that first sketch. So now on to the next design. This is Operation Ride Home sketch number 37. And for this set of cards, I'm using a bunch of the cut-aparts that are included on the 12x12 paper sheets. So there's a bunch of them that are 3x4 in size. So I thought those would be perfect. I loved the images and the sentiments. And you could just use those and they'd be really cute on a card, but I wanted to decorate them up just a little bit. So I pulled out some more of Love from Lizi's peel-offs, just adding a couple to the bottom of the little journaling card. Love from Lizi sells a huge variety of her peel-off stickers, so there's mirror and glitter and some matte finish, so they're always fun to just add a little extra detail to your cards. And once again, I'm adding that 1/8 of an inch cardstock matted layer to all of my pattern paper pieces. And I do adjust the measurements with the sketches quite often. So sometimes if I've changed one piece, like the main rectangle on this sketch is 2.5 by 3.25, but I'm using a 3x4 inch cut apart instead. So sometimes I'll adjust some of the other pieces just so it'll still work for the sketch. Sketches are really great for inspiration, and you can follow them exactly, or you can change them up for what works best for your card. Now for this cut apart piece, I am putting just a small extra piece of this blue cardstock behind the upper portion, just so it's nice and even on my card. Whenever you start adding several layers to your card, you might have one part that kind of sags down, and I like to keep it nice and even. For that first card, I used white pearlescent paper for the background, but for this second card, since my cut apart is mostly white, I want to have a little more contrast. So I'm just using this light blue cardstock for the background instead. But otherwise, I'm keeping the design exactly the same since it's still that 3x4 cut apart. So after I get all of these pieces adhered to my card front, I just adhere that whole thing onto a card base, and I just use white cardstock for all of my card bases. It's a nice heavyweight 100-pound cardstock. And then just for a little extra embellishment, I'm using some of the ephemera pieces. I bought an individual pack, And then in the 12 by 12 collection kit, there's this full sheet of stickers. So I used one of those as well. Using a variety of the 3 by 4 cut aparts, I did end up making a total of 8 cards using this sketch. Now moving on to the next card design. This is Sweet Sunday sketch number 292. And I did use quite a few favorite sketches for this whole set of cards. I do tend to reuse sketches all the time. I think one of my favorite papers in this whole collection is this fruit paper. It's just perfect for summer and it still has the great patriotic colors. So on the back side of that fruit paper is this nice tone-on-tone floral design. So I decided to use that as the background. And then the main focal point being the fruit paper. And then just for that thin strip, I'm just using a little bit of this light blue cardstock. Wanted to add a little extra detail to it, so I'm just using some silver Love from Lizi peel-offs. Peel-off stickers are one of my favorite crafty items. So if you watch my videos, you're going to notice I use them all the time. And yes, I do own all of the colors of peel-offs. One of the stamp sets I'm going to use on quite a few of the cards is by Reverse Confetti. It's called Because of the Brave. This is a great sentiment set because it works for patriotic cards, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day. It's just one that I pull out all the time. I stamped it using some blue ink and put it on a circle die cut. And then just a little finishing touch, I'm using some Nuvo crystal drops in that lower corner. And I tried really careful to get them nice and straight and fairly even. So for this sketch, I did make a total of 6 cards. I always love the contrast with red, white, and blue colors together. So now moving on to the next card design. This is Freshly Made Sketches number 317. And this was designed as a square sketch, but I generally only make A2 size cards. And for this card, I did figure out the measurements for a vertical A2 size card. For that mostly square piece in the center, I'm using 2 of the 4 by 4 cut aparts, and I just went ahead and cut them down a little bit smaller so they would fit nicely on this card. And I'm just adding a few peel-offs to the bottom of each of the background papers just to add that little extra detail. This first one, I have some red glitter peel-offs. They're just beautiful. And then I'm just using some solid red cardstock for that narrow strip behind that square element on this card. After I get that first card put together, I'm going to go ahead and start on this second one, still following the exact same sketch using another 4 by 4 cut apart. This one just has the nice variety of stars all over it. It didn't have a sentiment or an image, but I thought it would work perfectly because I could still add a circle or one of the ephemera pieces in the center of it. So I'm using some more of the glitter peel-offs on the bottom, adhering that onto my blue cardstock for some matted layers, and then I'll adhere that onto my card base. I do tend to use quite a bit of ATG. I want to make sure my cards stay put and together. Even though I donate them, I'm always more about the quality of the card versus the quantity, even though I did need 45 cards this time. So again, I'm going to use another sentiment from that Reverse Confetti set. This one is just USA all the way across with some little stars in between. I thought that would be perfect to be that thin strip on the front of the card. And I'm just going to cut some little fish tails on the end of each of them, and then I'll layer them again with some of this blue cardstock. So as I mentioned before, I do donate quite a few of my cards. This particular set is going to the residents at a local retirement home. I usually do 30 to 45 cards a month, but for holidays, I'll give 90 cards. That way, every resident will get one of the cards. And since I have an awesome crafty friend that likes to donate cards as well, she'll make half and then I'll make the other half. And I always write a message on the inside, so these are more considered a gift for the residents versus a blank card for them to send out to friends and family. At the end of this video, I am going to share some little details of what I do to prepare the cards that I donate to retirement homes. So now just to finish off this card, I'm using one of the ephemera pieces. I love this little blue pickup truck with the fireworks in the back, and I just popped that up using some foam dimensional tape. And then just one final finishing touch, I'm using some of Nuvo's glitter drops. This is the white blizzard color, and I just added them to some of the stars on each of the cards. So I did end up making a total of 4 cards using this sketch. So now on to the next card design. This is MFT Sketch number 385. Another really cute pattern paper is this pickup truck paper. So it has a red, well, I guess it doesn't have any white, but it has a light blue and the dark blue trucks. Some of them have stars in the back and some of them have the fireworks. So I thought it'd be fun to include it on this sketch. So this is a sketch I've never used before, so I thought I'd give it a try. I used some of the star paper for that strip along the side and then just put a red mirror peel off next to it, just to add that little bit of division. And then I also used the blue mirror peel off above that pickup truck paper. Now instead of adding that little banner die cut in the upper corner, I'm going to use one of the stickers. So this is one that's got a perforation in the middle and it's meant to be folded around, like be like a journaling card, but I went and cut it in half instead. And then for the sentiment, I'm using another one of the stickers and I just put it on some white pearlescent paper and then adding it on some blue cardstock for some matting. That way it has some contrast against the background paper. And then just a little extra detail, I'm going to put a few small stars. So I cut these out of some more of this white pearlescent paper, then I'm just kind of sprinkling them around that sentiment. And since they're really tiny, I like to use my little jewel picker tool to hold them. So I did make a total of 4 cards using this sketch. I do get asked how I decide if I'm going to make 4 cards using a sketch or 6 cards. And I don't always have a real answer for that. It just depends on how much of the pattern paper I have left, or maybe how much I want to use of a certain pattern paper. For a lot of the cards in this video, it just depended on how many ephemera or sticker pieces I had available, especially horizontal or vertical, depending on what fit the sketch that I'm using. I really just keep making cards until I feel I'm ready to move on to a new sketch. So speaking of moving on, we are on a new card design. This is Mojo Monday sketch number 485. So for the background, I'm using the star paper, and then I use some of this plaid red, white, and blue for that rectangle piece, and to just put a solid red strip of cardstock below it. And then I pulled out this twine that I have had for years, but it's fun because it's red, white, and blue, and it's made by Divine Twine. I'm not sure if that's even available anymore. I used a stitched banner die for the sentiment, and it's actually a longer die cut, and I just trimmed it down so it would fit on this card. The sentiment stamp is again by Reverse Confetti. So I just wrapped that twine twice around the card and adhered it to the back using some score tape, and then I just tied a small bow in the front. And on the sketch it has that bow more in the middle of the card on the right side of that sentiment, but I kind of preferred it on the left hand side. And then to finish off this card, I just added a couple of stitched star die cuts. So I did make a total of 6 cards using that sketch. So now on to sketch 247, and this is by MFT. This is a very simple card. It's what I love to use when I have a very busy pattern paper, so I know I don't want to add a lot of extra pattern papers to it. This pattern paper is so fun. It has the United States in the background and a lot of patriotic sentiments and the flag, so I didn't really want to cover up very much of it. So I'm just using a stitched frame die to go around that. I cut the pattern paper just a little bit wider than the opening in that frame die. I used another Reverse Confetti sentiment stamp. Then I'm just going to use some red cardstock for that banner in the upper right hand corner. Since there's already a lot of blue with that frame, I thought it would be good to add the red cardstock and then also the red ink. And then I just used one of the sticker, and then I think I also used some of the ephemera stars for a little embellishment on this set of cards. So I did make a total of 6 cards using this sketch. So now on to the next card design. This is Operation Write Home sketch number 256. Another one of my favorite pattern papers in this collection is this beautiful floral design. I love that it's patriotic, but you could still use this for a variety of different card themes. I mean, this would be a great just thinking of you card. But since I do need quite a few 4th of July cards, I am going to still stick with that theme for the rest of the cards. So I'm just putting together my image box. I have some white pearlescent paper in the background, just matted all of that in some blue cardstock. And then I'm going to add a few brads in the upper left-hand corner. The sketch has it in the right-hand corner, but I kind of like the balance of it a little better on the left-hand side. So I'll use a lot of adhesive on the back because I find when you have brads in the background, it tends to not hold as well where the ends of the brads are. So for my image on this set of cards, I'm using some of the ephemera and then also some of the stickers. So there's these really short stickers. There's a little variety of different sentiments and images, and I thought it worked perfectly just to put over this little red banner that's sticking out. So the one I'm using had 3 little flags and it was just too long, so I did just snip off one of the flags and then just have it on that lower side. And then here's the variety of different cards I made using this sketch. So once again, a total of 6 cards. And since I have different size pieces of the ephemera, I just changed the size of that white box so that each card would frame that ephemera piece perfectly. So now I'm on to my final 2 cards. For the background paper, I'm using the 12 by 12 pattern paper that has a bunch of different little border strips. I do tend to not use those at all. Not sure why, they're always cute, but I usually use the other side of the pattern paper instead. So I decided I'm going to use it this time. So it's real easy to just cut that piece for the background, layer it up, and it's super cute. But I wanted to add just a little extra interest. So I'm using some of the red mirror peel-offs in 2 different widths, and I'm just putting one piece between each of those borders. And I just wrap the end around the back of that piece, sealing it in place with some ATG, and then I'll put it on my blue matted layer. And you can see I have a big oval cut out of there. So I'm going to use that oval right here for my sentiment or image piece. It's a great way to save on cardstock if you're really low on a specific color. So I'm using the USA ephemera letters, and that's going to be my sentiment on the card. And I decided not to put it straight across, so I kind of have it curved. It fits the oval die cut nicely that way. So I'm just going to glue that down with some liquid adhesive, and then I'll just pop that up using some foam dimensional tape. So overall, this card is very simple, but I love just that extra detail with the peel-offs, and then also adding just these small little banners in that upper left-hand corner. So I just cut 2 of them, one slightly shorter than the other, and I'll just overlap them a little bit. So there is my final 2 cards. I used the ephemera pieces and a sticker on the other one. This design would work nicely with just a bunch of different pattern paper strips as well, because you could just put that peel off right between them to add a little bit of contrast. So now here is just a quick recap of the 48 cards I made using Bella Blvd Fireworks and Freedom paper collection. I really enjoyed using this paper collection, and even though I used 12 by 12 paper, I feel like the designs are still small enough that they work nicely for cards as well. I will provide links in the description box for most of the products that I used in this video. And since I've had a lot of people curious on how I prep my cards when I donate them to the retirement homes, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do it. So here's my card all finished, ready to go. It's blank on the inside, a blank on the back. So I do have a custom stamp that I had made that I use for the back of the cards. And this is for cards that I give to the retirement home residents, so I don't necessarily need my name on the back. So this one just has random act of kindness to brighten your day. And then on the inside of all of the cards, I'll stamp a sentiment. So just depending on what the season or the holiday is, that'll determine what my stamp will be. And since these are all 4th of July cards, I'm just going to stick with that theme. So I have Stars and Stripes Forever. And this is again a stamp by Reverse Confetti. And now I'll just add a little written message. So it does vary depending on the season, on what I'll write inside. And I don't put a lot, it's usually just a couple of sentences. And I do write the same message inside of each card. So all 45 of the cards I'm going to drop off will have this exact same message. For this set of cards, I'm just putting bold stripes, bright stars, brave heart. Happy 4th of July. I hope you have a great day celebrating our nation's birth. Overall, this is a very simple message, and I do change that part depending on the holiday or season. But I think it's just really appreciated to receive a card that somebody took the time to write a message inside. And then I'll always close my card with sending sunshine and smiles. And then I just sign my first name. I don't do this for acknowledgement. I just want it to put a smile on somebody's face and brighten up their day. So once my card is all filled out, so I have the back stamped, my message on the inside, I do include an envelope for every card. The envelopes will definitely help protect your card, and I think it makes it feel more like regular mail to the residents. So these are things that I do drop off. These aren't mailed out at all, so it's really nice to have local retirement homes that are very close by. I also stamp a sentiment on the front of the envelope. And I do use a specific holiday if this is a holiday card. That way the activity coordinator is aware that this is a 4th of July card or a Father's Day card, or if it's just a general card for any purpose, then I'll just have smile or thinking of you. So I'll go ahead and tuck my card inside, and I do not use the adhesive on the envelopes. I seal all of my envelopes just with a strip of really cute washi tape. Part of the reason for that is sometimes the retirement home residents have a little harder time opening those sealed envelopes. So just a little piece of washi tape really makes it simple for them. So that's really all I do to get my cards ready to donate to a local retirement home. If it is something you are interested, I suggest meeting with the activity coordinator at the center and just show them your cards, tell them what you do, and see if it's something that they have interest in. Sometimes they would love the blank cards for the residents to use, but a lot of times they really just want that message so that the residents receive mail. There's so many retirement home residents that don't even have visitors. So this is just a great way to brighten up somebody's day. But be sure to ask if there are any restrictions or guidelines. For example, if they don't want any loose glitter or loose pieces, just be sure to always check with them first. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.